Let me start with something that might completely shift how you see the years ahead. A nursing home is not the next step. Not for most people. Not yet. And for a surprisingly large number of seniors, it may never need to be the step at all. I have spent more than 20 years working with older adults, watching what happens to people when they are placed in institutional care too early. Sharp minds that go quiet, active people who stop moving. And the saddest part is that most of it was preventable. Today, I want to show you 5 real alternatives that are working right now for seniors across this country. Some of them are affordable, some of them are free, and at least one of them, the one I saved for last, has helped older adults stay in their own homes for an average of 7 additional years beyond what most care plans predicted. Stay with me until the end. That last one alone is worth your time. Before I get into the list, I want to share a piece of research that genuinely surprised me when I first came across it. A long-term study by the National Institute on Aging followed nearly 5,000 seniors over 12 years and found that older adults who stayed in home-based or community-centered settings had a 43% lower rate of cognitive decline than those who moved into institutional care. 43%. The researchers specifically pointed to one factor above all others as the reason. They called it social autonomy, simply feeling like you are in control of your own daily life. That one feeling, it turns out, is one of the most powerful protective forces in all of aging medicine. Write that down. We are going to come back to it. Before we dive in, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me your age and whether you or someone in your family is currently trying to figure out what comes next. I read every single comment. Everyone. Your stories genuinely shape what I make for this channel. Now, let us count down from 5 to 1. Starting at number 5. And I want you to stay with this one, even if it sounds simple at first, because the research behind it is anything but simple. Adult day health programs. Most people picture something pretty grim when they hear that phrase. A fluorescent lit room, some plastic chairs, a television nobody is really watching. That picture is 20 years out of date. Today's adult day health programs, especially those running under what is called the PACE model, which stands for Program of All-Inclusive Care for the Elderly, are genuinely impressive medical environments. During the day, a senior attends the program and receives nursing care, physical therapy, hot meals, social activities, and direct physician oversight all in one place. Then, in the evening, they go home. Their own bed, their own cat on the pillow. A study out of Johns Hopkins tracked over 2,000 PACE participants across 5 years and found that people enrolled in these programs were 74% less likely to end up in a nursing home compared to seniors in similar health situations who were not enrolled. Hospital visits dropped by nearly a third within the first 18 months. Here is the biology behind why this works so well. After about age 65, what doctors call the deconditioning spiral starts to accelerate. Think of the body like a car engine. It runs best when it is used regularly. The moment a person stops moving, stops engaging with other people, stops being mentally challenged, every system in the body begins to slow down faster. Muscle mass drops, heart efficiency drops. The brain, deprived of daily stimulation, starts pruning connections it thinks it no longer needs. Adult day programs interrupt that downward spiral every single day. There is another benefit here that does not get enough attention: family caregiver burnout. If a spouse or adult child is providing full-time care at home, research shows they face a 63% higher mortality risk than non-caregivers of the same age. That is not a small number. A day program gives the caregiver real breathing room while giving the senior structured professional care. It is not a compromise for either person. It is genuinely better for both of them. You can find PACE programs near you using the search tool at medicare.gov. Most accept Medicare and Medicaid. Some have sliding scale fees based on income. I had a patient, I will call her Patricia, 78 years old, from Knoxville. Her daughter had been her full-time caregiver for 2 years, and both of them were running on empty. Patricia's blood pressure was poorly controlled. She had fallen twice in 6 months. She was beginning to show early signs of dementia. 8 months after enrolling in a local PACE program, her blood pressure was stable, she had not fallen once, and her daughter said something I have never forgotten. She said, "Doctor, my mother laughs again." That is what the right support does. Number 4 on the list, and technology has completely transformed this one over the last decade: home health care combined with remote patient monitoring. Researchers are now calling this combination the hospital without walls. Here is what it actually looks like day to day. A nurse or home health aide visits the house regularly, anywhere from daily to a few times per week, depending on what the person needs. They handle medications, wound care, physical therapy exercises, personal care, and health checks. Between those visits, small wireless devices do something that would have seemed like science fiction 20 years ago. A blood pressure cuff sends readings automatically. A pulse monitor tracks oxygen levels in real time. A sensor on the floor detects if someone has fallen. A smart scale catches fluid changes that warn of a heart problem before it becomes a crisis. If something goes wrong, a clinical team sees it before the patient even realizes it. Research published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society showed that seniors using this combination had 38% fewer emergency room visits and 29% fewer hospital readmissions compared to people in standard community care. Among heart failure patients specifically, one of the most common reasons seniors end up in nursing homes, remote monitoring cut 30-day readmissions by 52%. There is a medical phenomenon worth knowing about here called transfer trauma. When an older adult, especially someone over 75, is moved from a familiar home environment to an unfamiliar facility, the body treats it as a significant stress event. Sleep breaks down, appetite drops, the immune system weakens. The brain, which has been quietly using familiar surroundings to compensate for small changes in cognition, becomes disoriented. Studies have found that up to 30% of seniors show measurable cognitive decline within 60 days of a move into institutional care, even when that move was medically appropriate. Staying home eliminates that risk entirely. Medicare Part A covers home health services when a doctor certifies that they are medically necessary. The qualifying criteria are broader than most families realize. If your loved one has recently been hospitalized, has a chronic condition that requires skilled nursing oversight, or has physical limitations affecting daily activities, there is a good chance they qualify. Ask the doctor directly and specifically, "Is my family member eligible for home health services under Medicare?" Say those exact words. I think about Robert, 81 years old from Louisiana. He had advanced lung disease, and his specialist had told the family it was time to start looking at long-term care facilities. Instead, Robert enrolled in a home health program with remote oxygen monitoring. Within 4 months, the dangerous flare-ups had been cut in half. He was sleeping better. He passed 2 years later, but he passed at home, in his own chair, watching his favorite team play. That is not a small thing. That is everything. Now, before I get to the top 3, where things get genuinely remarkable, if this video is giving you real information that you have not heard in a doctor's office, please subscribe to this channel and hit the like button. I put out new content every week, specifically for people who are navigating the honest, complicated realities of getting older. Not surface-level advice, the science-backed, practical stuff that appointments are too short to cover. Subscribe now, because what comes next in this video is information I hear seniors say they wish they had found years earlier. Number 3. This one has been quietly changing senior care in Northern Europe and Japan for over 2 decades, and it is finally starting to take hold in the United States. Senior co-housing communities. And before you picture anything you have seen before, let me be clear. This is not assisted living. This is not a retirement community. This is something meaningfully different. Co-housing is a model where a small group of seniors, usually between 8 and 30 households, design a shared living environment together. Every person has their own private home, with their own front door and their own independence. But the homes are clustered around shared common spaces: a shared kitchen and dining room, a garden, a workshop. Neighbors share meals a few times a week, if they want to. they look out for each other. One person drives, another is a former nurse who helps people understand their prescriptions. Another keeps the garden going. A 15-year study following 1,400 seniors in co-housing communities found that residents had a 35% lower rate of depression, a 28% lower rate of hospitalizations, and lived an average of 2.5 years longer than peers of the same age living in conventional housing. 2.5 additional years of life from simply choosing who you live near. The reason this works so deeply comes down to what loneliness does to the body at a biological level. Researchers at Brigham Young University analyzed data from over 300,000 participants across 148 studies and found that social isolation increases the risk of early death by 29%. That is comparable to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. After 70, when spouses pass, when driving gets difficult, when children live in other cities, isolation becomes the default for millions of older adults. Co-housing is a structural solution to that structural problem. Think of the immune system after 70 like a fire station with a shrinking crew. Daily human contact, real and spontaneous, is one of the only forces we know of that keeps that crew staffed. Without it, inflammatory markers in the blood rise steadily, and those elevated markers accelerate heart disease, cognitive decline, and other serious conditions. Co-housing naturally suppresses them. You can find existing and forming communities through the Elder Co-housing Network and the Co-housing Association of America. Some communities are faith-based. Some are specifically welcoming to LGBTQ seniors. Some are built around shared interests, like music or farming. Costs vary, but virtually all of them are significantly less expensive than assisted living, and the health outcomes they produce are significantly better. I think about Eleanor, 74, from Vermont. She had been a widow for 3 years and was slowly withdrawing from life, skipping meals, not sleeping, canceling doctor's appointments. Her daughter, who lived 4 states away, was frightened. Eleanor moved into a co-housing community 18 months ago. Today, she organizes a weekly dinner for 14 neighbors. She has lost 11 pounds without dieting. Her doctor reduced her blood pressure medication because her numbers have been consistently better than they have been in years. She told me something I still think about. I did not know I was drowning until someone threw me a rope. Number 2. This one tends to surprise people because it takes something most families view as complicated and turns it into one of the most effective health interventions in all of aging medicine. Structured multi-generational living. A senior living with or very near family members from different generations, designed intentionally and supported professionally. I know what some of you are thinking. Cramped space, family tension, loss of privacy. Those concerns are real and valid. Poorly planned multi-generational living can create stress for everyone involved. But that is the key phrase, poorly planned. When this arrangement is set up thoughtfully, with clear personal boundaries, the right physical modifications to the home, access to outside support services, and genuine respite for family caregivers, the health outcomes for seniors are among the best documented in all of aging research. A major study published in The Gerontologist followed 3,100 seniors in structured multi-generational living arrangements for 8 years. Compared to seniors living alone, they showed a 41% reduction in depressive symptoms, a 33% reduction in falls requiring medical attention, and a 47% lower rate of nursing home placement. That fall reduction deserves to stand alone for a moment. Falls are the leading cause of injury-related death in adults over 65 in the United States, responsible for more than 36,000 deaths every year. The science of why living near family reduces falls so dramatically comes down to what geriatricians call passive monitoring, the natural, low-effort observation that happens simply from sharing space with someone who loves you and knows you. An adult child notices that a parent has barely touched their food for 3 days. A grandchild notices that grandpa seems confused in a way that feels different from yesterday. These small daily observations catch health changes at the earliest possible moment, when action is most effective and consequences are most preventable. After 75, the window between something seems a little off and this is now a medical emergency can be very short. Passive monitoring closes that window. If you are considering this option, the practical starting point is a home assessment by an occupational therapist who specializes in aging in place. Grab bars, a walk-in shower, a main floor bedroom and bathroom, improved lighting. These modifications are often less expensive than families expect, and many states offer grant programs or low-interest loans specifically for senior home modifications. Your local area agency on aging, which you can find at eldercare.acl.gov, can tell you exactly what is available where you live. Thomas was 77, from Arizona, a retired engineer with early Parkinson's disease. His balance was getting worse, and he lived alone in a house with stairs. His son built a small separate unit on his property, worked with an occupational therapist on modifications, enrolled his father in an adult day program 3 days a week, and set up remote monitoring for medications and fall detection. 18 months later, Thomas's neurologist told him his functional decline was moving more slowly than she had expected. He goes to his grandson's baseball games. He falls asleep knowing someone who loves him is 30 feet away. That matters in ways that no medical chart can fully capture. And now we arrive at number 1, the most powerful, most underutilized, most transformative alternative on this entire list. One that most people have genuinely never heard of. And the one that has helped seniors stay in their own homes for an average of 7 additional years beyond what traditional care plans predicted. It is called a village network. And I want to explain this carefully because it is important. Starting with the pioneering Beacon Hill Village in Boston, and now with over 350 active networks across the country, seniors are organizing themselves into what researchers now call self-directed aging communities. Here is how it works in plain terms. A senior stays in their own home. They join a membership-based village network in their local area. That network, run by a combination of paid staff and trained volunteers, builds a web of practical support designed around what that specific individual actually needs. Need a ride to a specialist appointment? The village network has volunteer drivers. Need help making sense of a confusing insurance document? There is a volunteer who spent 30 years working in insurance. Need a handyman to install safety rails in the bathroom? The network has vetted local contractors at negotiated rates. Need someone to simply sit with you because your husband passed 3 weeks ago and you have not spoken to another person in 4 days? The Village Network has that too. And the best networks are now formally connected to PACE programs, home health agencies, and telehealth services, creating a complete support system that meets seniors exactly where they are, in their own homes, at every stage of the aging journey. A 6-year study by the University of California, San Francisco followed 1,600 Village Network members across 11 states. Compared to seniors of similar age and health who were not members, Village members showed a 51% reduction in nursing home placement, a 44% reduction in emergency department visits, and significantly higher scores on measures of purpose, belonging, and life satisfaction. 51% reduction in nursing home placement. From a membership that costs most Village networks between $500 and $1,200 per year. That is less than 4 days in a skilled nursing facility. Why is this the most powerful model on this list? Because it addresses the 4 reasons seniors most commonly end up in institutional care before they actually need to. Transportation loss, social isolation, home safety issues, difficulty navigating the health system. Village networks tackle all 4 at the same time, in advance, and entirely on the senior's own terms. They do not treat older adults as patients to be managed. They treat them as community members with real skills and real wisdom to contribute. You can find your nearest Village network at vtvnetwork.org. If there is not one near you, the same website has a guide for starting one. Some of the most active networks in the country were started by a single retired person with a phone and a table at a local library. This is something communities can genuinely build for themselves. I want to tell you about Dorothy, 84 years old, from Oregon. Arthritis, well-managed diabetes, mild hearing loss. 3 years ago, her family was having serious conversations about memory care placement. Not because Dorothy's mind was severely impaired, but because she had stopped driving, stopped leaving the house, stopped eating properly, and had fallen twice in 2 months. Her daughter found the local village network through a social worker. Dorothy joined. Within 6 months, she had a volunteer grocery shopper, a weekly walking companion, a monthly book club through the network, and a volunteer tax preparer who caught a filing error that saved her $800. Her nutrition improved, her activity level improved, her blood sugar control, measured by her A1C level, dropped from a concerning 8.1 to a healthy 6.9. Her last fall was 2.5 years ago. Last month, Dorothy began volunteering for the network herself, driving other members to their appointments 2 mornings a week. She told me something I keep coming back to. I spent so long thinking I was the one who needed help, and now I am the help. That is independence at 84. That is what we are working toward. Here is what I want you to hear clearly as we finish. The question of where and how to spend the later years of life is one of the most important decisions a person can make. It affects your health, your happiness, your sense of who you are, and how long you live. For too long, that decision has been presented as a 2-option choice. Either you manage completely alone or you go to a facility. That is a false choice. It has always been a false choice. The 5 alternatives I shared with you today, adult day health programs, home health with remote monitoring, senior co-housing, structured multi-generational living, and village networks, all prove that, with decades of real data and thousands of real human lives behind them. The research is consistent and it is clear. When older adults maintain genuine autonomy, real community, and a sense of daily purpose, their bodies and minds respond in measurable ways. Inflammation drops, cognition stabilizes, people laugh more. People live longer, not because of a new drug or a new procedure, because of dignity, because of connection, because of belonging. Your independence is worth protecting. Your quality of life is worth fighting for. And the tools to do both are more available, more affordable, and more effective than most people have ever been told. If today's video gave you something useful, please subscribe to this channel. I make content like this every week because I believe you deserve honest, science-backed information delivered with the respect you have earned. Hit the like button so this reaches other families and seniors who need it. All research references mentioned today are in the description below. And now, leave me a comment. Which of these 5 alternatives surprised you the most? Or if you or someone you love has already tried one of these approaches, tell me how it went. Your experience in that comment section might be exactly what another viewer needs to read before making one of the most important decisions of their life. I will see you there.